Most of the people who come to the church with allegations of abuse relating to children are in fact adults at the time they come forward. In the 15, 16 years that these processes have been in place, in fact we've only had 2 instances out of over 600 where people have come forward at a time that they're still children. So we're dealing with adults talking about something that happened to them when they were children. And in many cases, in fact, the person that they're complaining about has already died. And so when they came forward prior to 1996, their options were either to go to the police and the civil courts, which in some cases wasn't possible if the person had died, or in other cases was something that they were clear that they were not willing to do. Or they could come to the particular authority in the church, the bishop or the leader of the religious institute, and ask that that person respond to their complaint. And when that happened, that was an informal process that the person that they came to decided as best they were able. There were no clear guidelines, there were no clear protocols, and it was very much an in-house investigation and response. And so through the 90s, we'd worked to establish processes that were independent of the church, that were at arm's length from the church. And that resulted in the Melbourne response and shortly after Towards Healing, both of which provide a third option for victims, apart from the church's in-house assessment and apart from the police and the courts. And these 2 options provide an independent assessment of their claims with independent personnel doing the investigation, and in the case of the Melbourne response, then an independent compensation panel assessing the monetary response to a person's complaint. The facts on the ground, people voted with their feet once the processes were introduced. Particularly in the Melbourne response, we saw about 4 times the average number of complaints in the first year of the Melbourne response compared with what's happened since then. So it was clearly something that there was a need and that was very much welcomed by victims. In the time that the Melbourne response and Towards Healing has been operating, there's been well over 600 people have come forward to have their complaints assessed, and that's many of those have, as a result of their work with the church and the church's encouragement, then taken their complaints to the police, who have subsequently investigated and identified offenders. So there's a significant number of offenders who've been identified as a result of the church processes being introduced. So victims now have a third option, which is set up by the church and funded by the church, but operates at arm's length from the church with independent experts and professionals who undertake the assessment and response to the victim on the church's behalf.